Welcome to the Rochester, New Hampshire History Podcast, a monthly show that will shine a light on a piece of history that has been all but forgotten.
During the golden age of Hollywood, one could always find a movie theater. Movie theaters always had a large sign that displayed the name of the cinema. The marquee below displayed the movie that was playing. Even if the film being shown was a flop, that sign out front lured you inside. Years ago, this old brick building on North Main Street was one of the most fashionable spots in the town. It was the place to watch movies on the big screen. The Scenic Theatre is long gone, but it is worth remembering.
The Scenic Theatre on 14 North Main Street was built in 1912. It contained a theater, stores, and offices. Initially, the theater showed vaudeville acts and silent movies. It was the first building in Rochester designed to show movies. It could seat 900 people and had a single screen. The February 4, 1916 Rochester Courier reported that disaster was averted on Friday, January 28 at 10 p.m. when smoke appeared on the second floor of the movie theater. The projectionist stopped the movie and displayed "Good Night" on the screen. Around 100 people watching the movie thought it was over and left the building without knowing that a fire had broken out. The fire department quickly arrived and put out the fire. Luckily, no one was injured.
The first talking movie in Rochester played at the Scenic Theatre, and it was The Wild Party, starring Clara Bow. Clara was the it girl and one of the biggest stars of the 1920s. It opened at the Scenic on May 20th, 1929. The local newspaper reported, "Talkies are bound to be a great success here." Prices for evening shows were 35 cents for adults and 15 cents for children. Matinees were 25 cents for adults and children were only 10 cents.
The movie experience back then was vastly different from today. Like other theaters, the Scenic employed uniformed ushers. These men and women who escorted you to your seats did much more than tear your tickets and clean up spilled popcorn. They kept an eye out for anyone trying to sneak in without paying and were quick to shush folks who talked during the movie. Ushers carried small flashlights to guide people who arrived after the movie had started. They also had the job of keeping unruly kids in line during the Saturday matinees.
Following images will show how grand and beautiful the Scenic Theatre was. There was carved woodwork and superb fabrics. The Scenic Theatre even had a fancy fireplace. Before every house had a TV, most Americans had to get their news from the newspaper or the radio. However, neither the newspaper nor the radio came equipped with moving pictures. Newsreels were commonly shown before the main feature. It was the only way people saw film footage of Adolf Hitler, Charles Lindbergh, or other news events.
Movie serials were a staple of the weekend matinee, always filled with adventure, heroes, and villains. Serials were 20-minute short films with continuing stories that ended with a cliffhanger. The cliffhanger ending guaranteed you wanted to come back next week and see how the hero defied death. It was rare for a cinema to show just a single motion picture. Moviegoers expected a cartoon after the newsreel. Many popular characters emerged from these cartoons, such as Bugs Bunny, Donald Duck, and Popeye.
The 1960s saw the introduction of multiplex movie theaters. The movie-going public ignored the small movie houses, such as the Scenic Theatre, and swarmed to the multiplex movie theaters. In January 1972, the Scenic was closed due to dwindling ticket sales. However, the Scenic was sold and reopened in March of 1972. In the early 1980s, it converted to a twin cinema with another screen in the balcony, hoping to compete with the bigger theaters. However, it was not enough, and the Scenic Theatre drew its last breath in the mid-1980s and went out of business.
A piece of the old theater is still with us in a sculpture crafted from a railing of the Scenic Theatre. The sculpture is in Central Square and is called Ode to the Scenic. Next time you are downtown, stop by Central Square and view this beautiful sculpture.
This ends the podcast. If you have any questions or comments, please email bobgriffinpodcast@gmail.com and come back next month for another episode of Rochester, New Hampshire History.